Hello my dear sweet friends, welcome back to another video, namely a writing vlog, because we need to figure out what the heck Adele is writing for NaNoWriMo. Today is, I almost said April for some reason, April. It is October 18th. I am sitting in front of my computer, eating pretzels, staring at some of my old stories and story ideas. Random snippets, beginnings of stories, incomplete notes on things, for the first time in almost a year. So I did NaNoWriMo last year, I won, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna take a break during December from writing, and then in January my life went to absolute crap. So, and now it's October again and I'm here, and as we all know I took a big giant break from YouTube, but I'm back, and I'm gonna do NaNoWriMo again this year because I think this will be my 4th or 5th NaNoWriMo, I can't remember, in a row. I've always done NaNoWriMo, I've always won NaNoWriMo, and I'm not making this be the first year that I lose that streak. So we're doing NaNoWriMo, but I haven't written in a long time. Yeah, I have had a few ideas on what I want to do for NaNoWriMo, like old story ideas I had randomly written down. Obviously, I'm open to those. I'm open to coming up with new ideas as well if that's what happens. But basically what I'm gonna do is I have my Google Drive open. I have so many random documents on Google Drive. They're not organized very well because I try to organize them, but then there comes to a point where I'm just like making documents and documents and documents of random story ideas that come to me, you know, either while I was in class, while I was in college, or at work, or you know, on the toilet, you know, got the Google Drive app. What makes it even more annoying, I can deal with having documents and files sort of all over the Google Drive, but what makes it even more annoying and why I'm just so ticked off at Adele right now is because she doesn't title any of the documents, and it's all just untitled document, and I don't know what any of them are until I click on them. So we're gonna go through all of these documents, figure out where the actual story ideas are, because I also just leave them untitled for anything because I'm awful. We're gonna go through, find all the story ideas, and figure out what we're doing. Okay, so I have kind of clicked through some of these and gotten to where I think most of the substantial story ideas that I've had over the past like year have been, or I guess more than a year since I've been gone a year, 2 years I guess, basically. Okay, we'll say mid 2020, and I'm remembering some of these ideas and remembering how excited I was for some of these. And for example, I found, where is it? I had written a project lists document which was titled in September 2020, and I had actually put like a little note next to one of these ideas and said, we can plan this one for NaNoWriMo 2021, and I'd forgotten I had written that note, but that story idea is actually one that I've been thinking about the past few months, that I had remembered and was kind of thinking about doing for NaNoWriMo. So that's kind of interesting that past me was also thinking I'm gonna do that for NaNoWriMo. But there are also some other really good ideas here, so I'm gonna have to basically pick what I'm doing. My goal for this video is basically to pick out what I'm gonna be doing for NaNoWriMo and just start planning that. And I know that sounds very vague and not like a very detailed plan like I usually have, but we're already like halfway, we're like in the home stretch to November, and I don't have tons of time to really like detailed step-by-step plan, plot out every scene like I used to do, which I still enjoy doing, but I don't have time for that this year. I also have another idea that I had started kind of writing. I'm only like a few pages in. Had started writing in, I think it was like early 2020. Actually, it's dated. Last edit was on March 2nd, 2020. And I know I did a video on that as well. I think it was like a plotter tries to be a pantser. I didn't get very far in it though. And this idea is one that I keep coming back to and I always think about because I love it and it sounds so cool, except I have no plot whatsoever. I have no idea what it is or what I want it to be. It just, I have the beginning, I have what it looks like, and it's literally just like a picture, a scene, a concept, an image. It's nothing substantial. From there, I did develop it a little bit more. It's basically supposed to be like a thriller, suspense, serial killer with an unreliable narrator type thing, but I have no clue where it's going. I have no idea what I want it to be, and technically I don't have a lot of experience writing unreliable narrators, and I don't know if I want to like push myself to try something really different and something that I know is going to be a challenge right now. Not that I want something easy, because NaNoWriMo itself is a challenge, but I want to feel comfortable with what I'm writing, and I'm so excited for this idea, but I just don't think I have enough time to like really prepare. So we'll go ahead and exit out of that one. See, I get to talk things through. I'm talking through these. We're gonna figure something out. We're gonna pick a story. I hate when I do this, oh my gosh. But I'll be like, oh, I have a cool idea. And instead of maybe writing out like what the idea is, I'll just be like, I have the perfect first sentence. And I've talked about this before. When it comes to writing for me, the beginning is always so easy for me. I'm like, oh god, it sounds so perfect. I'm gonna start it. This is the first sentence. And then I just stop writing and I don't give myself any notes to work with. Like me, future Adele, coming back to this. A ship bobbed gently in the distance. What am I supposed to do with that now? I obviously knew what I was talking about then, but I didn't write down anything. So we're gonna exit out of that one. I do have this one idea that I actually like started when I was in high school. When I was in high school still. It is dystopian, YA dystopian, so you kind of know like the era of YA fiction that I went to high school during. But I don't really feel like doing that this year. Maybe we'll revisit that a different time, but we will not do this now. This document is like, it's literally one sentence. Why did I open a whole new document for this? And it's so vague. This doesn't make any sense. This is a whole document, last edited last year. Revenge story. MC is fueled by revenge just like antagonists, change ways that end. Like, great. That's a wonderful theme for a story, but what is the idea I was thinking about? And why is it in a whole separate document? Untitled document. Like 10 words. Long story short, we need to like figure out how to actually like take good notes. I have one document with a lot of really good story ideas with actual information about what it is that I had done in September last year, and there's a lot of good ones on here. It was one I was like kind of torn between. And then I have another document that actually turned into the notes for last year's NaNoWriMo project, which is Project DA, but there's a lot of aspects of it that are similar to the story I was really considering for NaNoWriMo this year, and so it's mostly geared towards last year's project, but obviously like these are all like different notes and like ways it could go, and since then I've obviously chosen where that story was going and where it has gone, but there are other really good notes in this document that could somewhat apply to, well, I almost said this year's NaNoWriMo, it's this year's NaNoWriMo project, but I haven't chosen anything for sure yet, but I can tell I'm heavily leaning towards that one without really meaning to. So we're gonna leave this document up as well as the one with all the really good idea list. And actually I found this little spreadsheet that I had made last year, also in September. I had a lot of time on my hands last year, September. I don't know if I'd ever showed this, but I made like a little project spreadsheet with like all my sort of current projects. Like this Project Thriller one, that's the one where it's like there's no plot, there's nothing substantial to it, but I was so excited about it and the idea of it that I put it on here. See, I obviously have like these last three I wanted to work on during 2021, but guess what, I've done nothing. But since these are all like existing projects, we're not gonna do that. So we've narrowed it down to 3 documents, and 2 of them are notes from Project EA that could apply to the, we'll just say current frontrunner for this year's NaNoWriMo. And then 1 document of just a bulleted list of different ideas with notes. I'm not even sure which genre I want to write in, so I pretty much did have like my mind set on that one idea that I've been talking about, and it's like, I guess you could say like urban sci-fi, but like kind of, I don't know. But I was like really set on that, but I think I've just been more excited recently about like getting back into writing, so I've been like thinking about more things, and so that's why I think I've sort of like wanted to like explore more. But I do find myself keep getting drawn to that one, and I even I started reading Vicious by V.E. Schwab because it is very similar sort of to the idea that I have. I need to come up with a name for it. Okay, are we doing this one? Is this one we're doing? Because I keep talking about it. Okay, let's go through this list, cross stuff off that we know we don't want to do, and see how we feel. Hello everybody, it is the next day, and I've been doing a lot of prepping and planning since I think the reality of November being like a week away is hitting me, and this is like the most unprepared I've been. I know I pantsed NaNoWriMo that one time, or Camp Nano, I can't even remember, but at least I made the conscious decision to pants it, and I haven't made the conscious decision to do that this year. But it looks like we might be doing that. Basically, I have now gone through all of those documents that I was talking about that had ideas and things I could kind of like pull from, and I combined it all. I didn't copy and paste, but I combined it all into just a blank document that I did name. I titled it, so, and I basically just like typed out stream of consciousness, didn't really pay attention to like making it nice in any way, and just sort of wrote out everything I can possibly think of for the story, what I want to be in it, where I want it to go, what the general premise is, and so I have done that. Now the next issue that I did, and I sort of did like a flow chart, well, the beginning of a flow chart, because I really haven't even like brainstormed past this point, but it was like, okay, this is the plot, and like this is the thing that happens, like this is the main story. This thing happens to create the main story, but from the thing happening, there's like 2 different directions it could go, which makes the story completely different. So it's basically 2 different plots with the same like general catalyst, inciting incident, whatever you want to call it, but then like 2 storylines I could go down. They're not, I can't do them at the same time. They're like 2 completely different plots. So it's now a matter of picking what I want, what is easiest to brainstorm, and making sure I have enough time to do that. Oh yeah, I don't even know if I actually like confirmed, but I am doing the story that I kept talking about, that sort of sci-fi but like in real life story. And I've obviously added a little bit more. I kind of want it to be like sci-fi thriller reality. I'm saying reality because it's like in our world, but it also is like sci-fi. So I'm very excited for that. And I love that kind of thing. Like, all my stuff has to do with science. Not everything, but basically all my fiction writing is based around science. I always do sci-fi. I never do fantasy. Fantasy and magic just isn't something that's for me. I'm not as interested in it, but science I am very interested in. Also throw in some dark academia vibes because y'all know I love that. So this is what I've got right now. It's almost a full page, but something I really like to do is brainstorm on paper. So I know y'all have heard me talk about how I prefer to brainstorm on paper, but I have also learned that for like the very, very beginnings of a story, it's just better for me to type it like on the computer, because at the very beginning of the story, when I'm like trying to plan everything out and I don't really have a solid grasp of what the story is, or who the characters are, or what the issue is, or anything to do with the plot, and I'm trying to figure that out, typing makes it so much easier to get those like stream of consciousness thoughts going. And I find that it just helps me come up with more thoughts and ideas easier and faster than if I were to do it on paper. And if you're writing really fast on paper, after a while your hand starts to cramp, and with typing I can do it really fast and my hands don't cramp. After I have like a lot of the main information, then I like to do brainstorming like that on paper, and I've talked about that. All of my brainstorming notes are on paper. I like the physicality of using a pen and paper, but for the very beginning, when I'm like, I have no idea what this is, let's just write it down, I just start writing, just like paragraphs, maybe not even punctuation, no correct grammar. I'm just like, get everything out I can possibly think of for this thing, and then let's kind of just go from there. So right now, with those like two different directions that this could go, I basically like wrote out the question. Like, I have, what are the main things with the plot that need to be brainstormed? And so then I just do like a bulleted list. One, you know, how do they get trapped here? Is it this? Is it this? And I'm saying that just because like none of this is like solid yet, so I don't want to like talk about what the story is right now because I don't even really know. But like, how did this happen? Basically, like, how did the inciting incident happen? Was it this reason? Was it this reason? Any possible idea I have, like, even if it's just a random thought, I write it down. Even if I'm like, no, that can't work immediately, I think it's good to have just every single note for every like single thought you've had about this thing, because I've gone back so many times and realized that I actually did want to do something I thought I was not going to use. The next bullet point is just like, what do they have to do to get out of this situation? Which is basically like the plot of the story. How are they going to fix the problem? And that's where I have sort of the two, like, where it splits off, because I'm like, okay, how they get out, they could do this thing or they could do this thing, which in turn they make it two different stories, which have their own pros and cons, and I just sort of like follow it. I just go with it, you know? Sometimes it turns into a little flowchart, like if this then that sort of thing, cause and effect. We're just gonna do that. I think I'm gonna do some sprints, which I haven't done in like a long time, obviously, since this is literally the first time I've written anything creatively, fiction-wise, in like 10 months. I didn't even like think of this as like when I started this, I was just like, okay, let's plan NaNoWriMo. I wasn't even like, oh my god, I'm writing for the first time in 10 months, you know, because that's such a big part of my life. It's weird because it kind of just, I just started writing, and it wasn't anything that I struggled with, which I'm grateful for. You know, I don't want to knock on wood, but anyway, yeah, let's just start typing, brain dump, just get it all out. I and we'll see what happens. We'll go from there, see if anything substantial has come of that. Someone sprint with me. Maybe that'll get him. Okay, maybe not. We'll just wait a second. Maybe. Nope, no one else joined. Okay. Good morning, everyone. It is the next day, and we are gonna just work on some more prepping for NaNoWriMo. I'm just realizing I'm super behind, way further behind than I normally am, but it's okay. I'm probably not gonna do a scene outline this year because I just don't have the time to do it. I don't know, I just don't have that much information yet about that story, about this story, to be at that point. So, no scene outline. But we're just gonna keep brainstorming and try to fit it into some sort of structure so that we can, you know, have somewhat an organized setup going into November. Also, sorry if there's noise. There are like 3 people mowing their lawns right now, so granted, it does feel very good outside. It's like 70 or like 68, and it feels so nice, and honestly, it's about time because it is October 21st as I'm filming this right now, and it has been consistently in the 80s. So yesterday when I left off, I was brainstorming on the computer. I was typing it out and sort of exploring these 2 paths that it could go. And I was leaning more towards like path 2, where they have to like change history. Did I talk about it actually? Wait, I don't think I actually like talked about what the plot is. I was leaning toward the second path because it had like, not an easy, but it had, to me, a clear theme for the story. And the theme, I really liked the theme. But as I did more brainstorming, I started really liking some aspects of the first path. So, because I was like leaning towards one and I thought it was, you know, I'm like, cool, got it, figured it out. But now I'm like kind of actually torn between both because I do like both things. So what we're gonna do today is actually, oh, that's not the drawer I want. We're gonna get some paper out and we are going to see if we can, you know, make something out of that. Get any more clarity on what I want to do and just sort of flesh them out and get more information. Hi! Okay, so I finished writing like physical notes, and basically what I did was I wrote like the premise I have here, and then I did little lines to branch off into like these 2 columns about like the two separate paths to kind of flesh them out, see where they're going, see where they could go, you know, whatever my brain could come up with. I think I took about 20 to 25 minutes to write all of this down. And I basically just ask myself questions, like literally write down questions. And then I just think of an answer and like what could happen. So like this question, it could be this answer, or what about this answer? Like, and then from there it just kind of branches off into different things, and that's sort of just how I plot. So like I was saying, I was originally really feeling like the second path, but I've been fleshing it out and I feel like I am leaning towards one now, the first path, path 1. I also feel like if I went with the second path, it's just a lot more technical. I feel like I would just have to come up with a lot more like heavy stuff, and I don't really have the time for that right now, and it's gonna be the first draft. So if for some reason I write this first draft and I hate it and the plot doesn't make sense, or I like the other plot better, then second draft we can do that. But I think for NaNoWriMo we're gonna go with the first option. But yay, progress. We know what story we're writing. We brainstormed until we had like 2 different paths it could go on. We picked a path, we kind of fleshed that one out a little bit more. So once I've been brainstorming and I feel like I have a good solid sort of jumping off point, I then use this information to fill out any sort of structure. If you're new, I love scene outlines. That's a whole thing. I usually do that every year, where I make like an Excel spreadsheet. This is something I made up. Subtle flex. I was basically having a hard time finding something online that really captured what I was looking for, but I basically did like scene by scene spreadsheet. I have made videos about it. I don't know which ones they are, and I made like an updated version of it. So I'll try to, maybe in the next writing vlog, like maybe the NaNoWriMo vlogs or something, I will bring that back and like just bring the template back at least, because I know people are going to be interested and continue to be interested and always ask me what I use for that. So instead of doing that, which that wouldn't even be the next step anyway, that's sort of just me, you know, getting a few steps ahead and talking about that. I'm not going to be doing a scene outline, but either way, if you are or not using a scene outline, what the next step would be that I would do is then fill out a very, very vague, basic, structured, I prefer like the 3-act structure, and fill out like the very, very basic points. So I just really like to point out like those major points, sort of outline first act, second act, third act, like what these chunks are in relation to the entire plot, and then within that, you know, sort of like what's the catalyst, like the inciting incident that really like propels the characters into the story, into the plot, and then within the second act, let's just, you know, nail down the midpoint. Third act, let's get the climax, and that's just to sort of have a basic plan to follow. It doesn't have to be super detailed, because I know not a lot of people like to be super detailed. I like being super detailed, but for the sake of time, we're not going to do that this year. So we just fill out the basic points within that structure to make sure we have like a roadmap, but not like like not little dots, but like the lines, if that makes sense. Like if you look at a map and it's like dot 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 dot, but we're doing like line 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 line. If that makes sense. That made sense in my head. But I'm really busy this weekend, and I kind of have to end the video here because it has to go up tomorrow, and I have to get it ready tonight because I'm gonna be busy tomorrow. So unfortunately we're not gonna be doing that in this vlog, but don't worry, because I'm gonna be doing NaNoWriMo vlogs all throughout the month of November. So we're gonna bring back daily vlog. Well, I'll be daily vlogging, but it's going out every week, so you will see my progress in NaNoWriMo with this story and whatever the heck it is and wherever it's going. And I will actually talk about what the plot is and like what the details of the story are in those vlogs. So stay tuned if you want to see that. Let me know, comment down below if you're doing NaNoWriMo, if you're participating, or if you're not, and why. And if you are participating, what are you working on? What's your story? I really do love hearing like all about y'all's stories because it is very cool. And let me know what you're doing to get prepared, what you've been doing during Preptober to make sure that you are successful for NaNoWriMo. I love hearing all of your methods and stuff like that. So I'm gonna end this video here. Again, comment, like, it helps the channel out a lot, and subscribe if you're new. Welcome. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see y'all in the next one.
Bye.